Good morning and welcome to Weekends with Whitney. Coming up on this morning's show. For 10 years, they've tangoed, cha-cha'd, salsa'd, and discoed into the lives of children for the Big Buddy program. We'll take you behind the scenes to see what it takes to pull off the biggest anniversary party yet. Plus, one of music's rising stars.
I never bother with excuse me and this begging pardon, darling, that ain't
Adia Victoria. Rolling Stone magazine just featured her as one of the 10 new artists you need to know.
you better leave me alone.
We get to know her together. Then, beginnings with Dr. Nick. Why he says it's more important than any ending. But we begin with an idea that started 10 years ago, and few thought it would still be around today. Dancing for Big Buddy. It was an instant hit that first year. So now, 10 years later, I take you behind the scenes to some of the people who kept it alive through the years and how they're getting ready to make year 10 number one. Nearly 100 local celebrities and dozens of professional dancers have graced the stage to raise almost $1 million for the Big Buddy program. That money provides children leadership and character education, after-school programs, holiday camps, summer enrichment programs, and adult mentors. Leonard Augustus is the only pro dancer who's been in all 10 shows. He knows firsthand how programs like Big Buddy change young lives.
As I can relate to the children who this benefit is all about, because I feel like I was one of those kids who was benefited from a mentor, having somebody in my life that had a life different than my life to show me the possibilities. And that sort of made my world bigger. And I am just honored that they asked me to do it.
This year, they asked Leonard to do the biggest adult choreography number ever for their 10-year anniversary show. It's an ensemble of Leonard's team of professional dancers and celebrity dancers over the last 10 years. So the skill and experience level of these 30 people who've agreed to do it is vastly different.
This is probably the largest group I've done with such a diverse skill set also. We have people who are professional dancers mixed in, and then we have people who this was their first dance experience with Big Buddy. That's a pretty wide range to kind of meet in the middle. But we're not shortcutting it. We're making them step up.
Beverly Brooks Thompson stepped out in the 5th show in a boot after breaking her ankle in rehearsal.
No, it's not all roses and sunshine in there.
It's all business. You show up, and literally the day I broke my ankle, he was like, "Get up, get off the floor." And within a week, he's like, "So you dancing? You dancing?" And because of him, he didn't let me quit. He was like, "You can do this. Whatever you can do, we're gonna do." So he pushes people to their personal best, which is what I think Big Buddy does. They push kids to their personal best, and they see something that maybe you don't see in yourself.
This year, she hits the dance floor again for the ensemble number.
It's so much fun with everybody, though. You kind of get the feel of it, especially the song, Confident. But that's a powerful message, and it's a powerful message with 30 people coming back.
Pam Bordelon has more confidence now than 4 years ago when she competed. But some things have gone the other way.
A lot of things are not where they were 5, 6 years ago. I'm just a returning alumni. I'm just entertaining, probably on the comedy front.
Even rehearsals are comical watching all of us struggle to get it.
Lanes out.
This is not polished. This is the rough cut version. But we'll be good by showtime.
All right.
Leonard will whip us into shape.
Ready or not, here we come.
Yeah.
Whipping this group into shape is a challenge.
At those rehearsals, it's crazy. And everybody's got their own insecurities and concerns, and it's like herding cats. We've had tears, we've had injuries, we've had it all. So it's every year. You know, everybody's personality is different, but the people who they choose to get into this event, they're just like champions. They will just fight for it. And so it's really an amazing thing that we have these kind of amazing people in this town.
What I think is astounding is that, okay, all these people get up and they dance, but these aren't dancers. You know, I'm a executive at a hospital, and you are a television person, and, you know, Lori Aronson runs a conglomerate. I mean, these people don't do this every day, but he gets the very best out of people. And to be able to coach somebody, to be able to dance is one thing, but to make somebody who is not a dancer understand what he means, I think that's impressive.
Yet perhaps most impressive is that Leonard didn't dance until he was 20 and did it on a dare of all things.
Dance was not in my world. It was not an option. It was not something that I knew much about. It was not something I thought about wanting to even do. So when I got introduced to it, you know, on a dare and was able to do it and be encouraged and have people like Molly Buckman and Sharon Matthews say, we think you can do this. So I stopped thinking about the things I can't do. And that's how it changed my life.
Dancing has taken him all the way to New York City to perform off Broadway. But dance is not how he makes a living. He works in the state education department's nutrition division. He dances for the sheer joy and love of it.
It's just all a blessing and gift at the same time.
He shares that gift with audiences and by teaching hundreds of others to dance, including me in the first Dancing for Big Buddy back in 2006. And he does it all for free.
You start doing this and you realize, oh my gosh, he sacrifices Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for 4 months at a time, 10 years in a row. And he does it because he believes in the kids.
And I love being a part of something in the community that is really making a difference.
It's also making memories.
And that's what I want for this 10th year anniversary group. I want them to just have this be one of their top memories. And I would love to have this be a memory that they treasure.
I've always admired Big Buddy and what they do, and to be a part of such a big occasion like this, it's just an honor. So I'm excited.
There's nothing else like it. I mean, there are lots of events in our city, and they're really fun, but this one is really unique, and I think you leave really learning something.
Just 2 days before the big night, everyone here is still learning to dance together. But Leonard's confident, come Saturday, everyone will shine as brilliantly as their glittery costumes.
I like glitter, which I can admit now because I'm old enough to not care what you think if I say it, but I like glitter. And so I think it's like the Holy Spirit. It's like this little stuff that puts out light in all these different directions, and it's like the Holy Spirit. It's everywhere when you see it, and you can't help but be drawn to it.
That spirit is making a difference in the lives of children, one step at a time.
What's wrong with being confident?
And next Sunday on Weekends with Whitney, we're going to hit the stage as I show you the jaw-dropping, eye-popping dances that brought the audience to its feet and tears to their eyes. But still to come this morning, one of the few young women singing the blues.
Nobody could care 'cause she ran them all off with her
Adia Victoria's debut album comes out in just a few weeks. I catch up with the singer Rolling Stone magazine calls one of the 10 new artists you need to know. Then Dr. Nick explores why the beginning of anything is more important than the ending.
Maggio, the only way to go. Maggio Buick GMC, your satisfaction's our specialty. We really deliver on Falls River, here in New Roads. Small town atmosphere, legendary service for over 60 years. Maggio, the only way to go. The only way to go, that's Maggio.
Go Roof is proud to serve the Baton Rouge and surrounding areas with our years of experience and quality service. We want more than just your roofing needs. Go Roof cares about the client and wants you to be our customer for life. Roof replacement, repair, vents, and more. Go Roof will get it done. We have excellent standing relationships with all the top insurance companies, so making your claim is fast and easy. A beautiful roof every single time at Go Roof. Call now for a free estimate.
The new year is a perfect time to make your money work hard for you. Hi, I'm Ian James, financial advisor and president of Capital Financial Group. Like millions of Americans, you're likely paying higher taxes and higher fees than you probably should. With 20 years of industry experience, I have a proven plan to analyze your investments and reduce hidden costs and fees. You work hard for your money. It's time to let your money work hard for you. Call me, Ian James, for a free, no-obligation portfolio review and a brighter financial future.
Welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. Music has so many genres these days, it's hard to put any of them into one specific box. In fact, you're about to meet a singer whose genre has been described as back porch blues swamp, cat lady howling at the moon.
I'm stuck in the shadow. I'm stuck in the shadow.
Adia Victoria used to be stuck in the South, but not now. She's a blues singer turning red hot. And quite rare, too. Few young female musicians are singing the blues.
It's a loss for the blues because I think that women have such an interesting story to tell. The blues began as an art form to sing past oppression, and women know about oppression. You know, we have stories that are silenced, and I think that there's a gold mine there of material that definitely is made for the blues. And so that's why I do what I do. I couldn't find anybody else that would let me tell my story, so I started playing guitar and I told my damn story.
In just the last few months, she's been lauded by scores of national media, including MTV, NPR, and The Village Voice. Vogue magazine featured her as one of the 5 beauties answering a rebellious call. Rolling Stone magazine named her one of the 10 new artists you need to know.
Jesus came to me one day and he washed my sins away. But then I caused
Just a few years ago, she was a telemarketer, teaching herself to play guitar between phone calls.
'Cause darling, I am a heathen, oh yes, bitter to the bone.
She's been a gifted writer and poet since childhood. Now, she turns it into music.
I grew up, I listened to, stuff like Nirvana and Fiona Apple and like these other artists who were blending genres and their own influences and taking the things that they loved and putting their own spin on it. I never wanted to be like a carbon copy of something that came before me. So I took my influences like Skip James, Victoria Spivey, Nirvana, Fiona, and I just put my stamp on it.
She recently inked a record deal with Atlantic Records. This South Carolina native who transplanted herself in Nashville 5 years ago says it was like a fairy tale.
I mean, they came to me.
Come on.
No, they came.
That doesn't happen.
No, they came and they saw me in Washington, D.C. at DC 9, one of their A&R scouts. And then she wrote the head of the label, said, you have to come see this girl. He came and saw us play, and they gave me an offer, and I signed it. It's like the ultimate Nashville, like Cinderella story.
There's nothing fictitious about her music. Her lyrics tell her raw, grim, vexing story.
Burning in a hell that don't nobody know.
Her name Adia is Arabic for gift from God. Many now say the same about her music.
But then I caught sight of those city lights and I was led astray. 'Cause darling, I am a heathen, oh yes, bitter to the bone. But if I am a heathen, why won't you leave me alone? Go and leave me alone, yes, baby. You better leave me alone, yes, baby. Go and leave me alone, yes, baby. You better leave me alone.
Her album on Atlantic Records debuts May 13th. And still to come. Many of us think it's not how you start, but how you finish that matters most. Dr. Nick shares why it's the beginning we need to focus on as Weekends with Whitney continues.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful and exhausting, unless you choose me. I'm Regina Roselle with KDK Realty. Don't just trust your largest asset to anyone. Go with success. I've sold hundreds of homes over the last 10 years, and I can get you top dollar for your home, as well as get you the best price on your new one. Email me at buywithregina@gmail.com. I'll do all the work. All you have to do is pack. Let's get moving together.
In a world filled with TV and video games, children are losing their thirst for learning and adventure. On February 27th, that all changes. Summer camp is back, and Breck is the place to be. Recreation, theater, animals, nature, art. At Breck, adventure is just around the corner. Register for Breck Summer Camp, February 27th at breck.org, and give your child a summer they will never forget.
The beginning is the most important work. That's a quote by Plato.
Plato.
Dr. Nick joined us now with more.
I mean, we've got to give him some credibility.
He knew a lot, didn't he? Wow, some wisdom. I just love your book. It's Resources
Whitney.
for Living Well. And I was reading this the other day, and I said, you know what? You and I need to talk about this, because we don't talk enough about beginnings. I think a lot of times, and maybe some of that is out of fear. Sometimes we don't begin something anew because it may not work out, it may be a bad business venture, it just may be too much work. But beginnings are important.
Very important. And I was just kind of thinking when you said that, not to take off beginnings, but maybe the problem is that we don't end. Oh. Maybe we don't end the day well, or we don't end things well and say, okay, there's closure. It's done. So that the next experience is the beginning of it. You know what I'm saying? That endings and beginnings go together. You can't really have one without the others. So we end and then we begin. And sometimes when we begin, we don't begin correctly.
Okay, yeah.
That's the issue.
Tell us how to start correctly.
Well,
or better.
You know, let's say you want to talk to one of your children about a problem. How do you begin the conversation? Do you begin the conversation with, we got to talk about this problem?
If you're mad, unfortunately, it blurts out.
Or do you begin it by saying, you know, we haven't talked in a while, let's check in, how are you doing? And then maybe you slowly get into it. How do we begin? You know, I always love to ask people when you play a game, any kind of game, aren't you going to first ask before you play, do you know how to play? How are we going to play this game? How are we going to? What's this evening going to be like? Is this a business meeting or is this a fun meeting? You see how you get in clarity. When you wake up in the morning, how do you begin the morning? What's the ritual in the morning? Do we immediately turn on cable TV to watch all the bad news? Or do we begin with maybe an inspirational quote or,
quiet time,
or as you were saying, going outside and looking for the sunrise if you're up early.
I'm guilty of turning on the news. I'm a news junkie, and there are probably much better, healthier ways to do it. But I'm usually in there cooking the kids' breakfast, so it's just kind of I'm catching up. But I could probably do it much better.
Well, and I'm not necessarily saying that that's a bad thing because you're cooking breakfast, so that's a good way to begin because you're caring for your children.
Right. But you said it's important how we begin to wind down at night.
I love the beginning of the end of the day. And I have a little, it's like I just know that I've got to start slowing down. I can't just go to bed and fall asleep. I've got to slow down.
I'm going to say that about 80% of us probably do it with the help of a television. That final hour.
And that's okay.
I like that you said that.
Or a book. That or a book. I watch TV for an hour and unwind, kind of brainless. I don't watch anything that's going to get me excited, like a violent movie or news that's all going to get me riled up.
Sure.
In other words, the beginning of that end needs to be a coming down. It's a coming down. And I thought you were going to also say something else that we used to come down.
Tell me.
Alcohol.
Oh.
And it needs to be really confronted. We don't need alcohol every night to come down, and too many people do.
Right.
That's how they begin the ending. And let's be honest, Whitney, that's not a good way to begin the ending.
Right.
Or any forms of unhealthy is coming down.
Even if it is a glass of wine or two. I mean, this is true.
That's
a couple of
fine.
years ago, I would, while I was cooking dinner, I got into the habit of having a glass of wine while I was cooking dinner. And then I might have a glass of wine with dinner. And so finally my husband looked at me and he said, you're drinking a lot of wine during the week. I mean, and I said, I don't know if it was a cost factor or he was wondering if it was a health factor.
Sure.
But he said, I think that's probably a bad idea. Or you may ought to look at that. I think he said it more gentle than that. And I did, and I thought, you're right. We can just get in those little habits of, have a glass of wine and da-da-da, and then all of a sudden, it's Monday through Thursday, and you're thinking,
Which really brings it again to how do we begin a confrontation?
Right.
See, because obviously, just the way you say it, Robert did it in a way that was not threatening or putting you in a defensive mode. At least that's the way it's coming across. And that's those kind of beginnings are important, Whitney, because we have anxiety about sometimes communication. So we need to have a beginning that says, let's make this conversation healthy, or this confrontation not negative.
Right.
What can we get from it?
Yes, and it's interesting when other people point things out, and I do think we all have to be honest with ourselves. And I did have to go, well, I don't know, I just kind of got in a habit. Look, and it wasn't anything I had to have. I mean, so I just stopped opening, a bottle of wine before I started cooking dinner. I just stopped cooking.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say you changed the beginning.
I changed the beginning.
You changed the beginning.
You're right.
See, and that's again what we're talking about. How do we begin things? How do we begin? Again, meetings, or how do we?
Can I read something from here? Because I like how you say this. May we begin each new encounter with mutual respect.
Mutual respect.
New tasks
and say it. Say it. Let's make sure we're respectful of each other. We start with that mutual respect. Well, I know that. Well, I know you know that. I'm just reminding us.
Okay. Good point. Begin new tasks with specific goals. You say we don't do that enough. We don't set the goals.
Yes.
Begin new projects with flexibility.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Flexibility.
It's one thing to have the plan. The plan's going to possibly or probably change.
It will change.
It's okay.
Everything does, right? I mean, nothing's going to go according to plan.
Yeah.
Begin new decision-making processes with integrity. And begin new roles with clarity of responsibility.
I like that too.
Yeah, well done.
Did I wrote that?
You wrote that a couple years ago. See, still good, still timeless.
Still good, a new beginning.
That's right. Have a new, beautiful beginning to this day. Thanks for starting it with us, and thank you, Dr. Nick.
Yes, happy Sunday.
Much more of Weekends with Whitney right after this.
Only wanna feel, see you laughing, yeah, in the purple rain, purple rain, purple rain.
It's 103.3 Scott Ennis. Welcome to the ride home. Put the seatbelts on, hug the babies when you get there. Later. I can't. I'm going to play it later, Chris. Chris, not now. I'm busy. I'm busy right now, buddy. Later. I'm going to play it for you later.
Scott Ennis is back on 103.3 Classic Hits.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful and exhausting, unless you choose me. I'm Regina Roselle with KDK Realty. I'll do all the work. All you have to do is pack. Let's get moving together.
Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees. Thanks for joining us for this week's show. We'll be back here next week. Hope to see you then. But until then, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or head to my website, weekendswithwhitney.net, for more information on this show and dozens more. I hope you have a great Sunday. This morning, we leave you with this.